I am making soft pretzels now. This comes from an amalgamation of about 15 recipes checked, 3 of them tested extensively down to 1 great recipe. So we're going to start with a cup and a half of water, but I'm going to measure that all in one bowl. 340 grams. It's hot water so that we can get started blooming the yeast while we do the rest of everything, and it makes it easier to do it all in one bowl. So we'll put the yeast in there and stir that up. And we'll mix up the rest of it while we let that go for a couple minutes to get blooming. All right, that's the yeast I use, Fleischmann's bread machine instant yeast. It gives a little bit more active rise of the bread machine yeast. And the flour I'm using is Gold's bread flour. You can get away with using regular flour, but for a bagel you want that chew, and for a pretzel, soft pretzel, you want that chew, so bread flour is the best. All right, when you're baking, you ought to measure everything via weight. Volume is terrible for baking. And so this is basically 4 cups of flour, but having done this a bunch, the correct measurement for this is 570 grams of flour. I already measured that out. Now salt, I'm just going to actually use volume, teaspoon. It's 2 teaspoons of salt in there. All right, so that's been in there a couple minutes. Now we're just going to add the flour to that and 2 tablespoons of butter. All right, we'll just do 2 tablespoons of butter about there. Now we're going to mix it for about 5 minutes. All right, we'll get it started, bring it on up on 1. Let that get going, and we'll need this for about 5 minutes. Then I'm going to let the dough rest for about 30 minutes to build up some micro bubbles. I'm going to stick the dough hook on, and the dough hook will mix it up much better and get a good knead. All right, well, that is blending for 5 minutes. With 4 minutes still to go, we're just going to prep the rest of it. Pretzels and bagels both are a boiled dough, and the boiling just takes the micro bubbles that are established on a very short ferment and expands them out like steam, and that's what gives the leavening in pretzels. Additionally, the boiling develops Maillard reactions like you get for making steak, browning the meat in the surface of the dough. And that's what gives pretzels their dark pretzel flavor. And again, bagels too. They're the same thing, almost just a different shape. That can be aided by making the pH of the water high, alkaline. There's a bunch of ways you can do that. You can use baking soda is the easiest. I actually have purchased food grade lye to really do it, but I find that super dark brown I don't like any better. All right, so in a wide pan, you're going to get yourself 10 cups of water, or enough to float the pretzels, and about a half cup of baking soda. The amounts aren't super critical. Another thing you can do that works out pretty good is actually putting a little bit of sugar, brown sugar or honey in this, and that will also give you a little bit of a better browning to the pretzel crust. All right, we're just going to prep 2 baking sheets. This recipe that I'm making makes 8 good size pretzels, and so 2 baking sheets, 4 pretzels on each one. Just take a piece of parchment paper and put it on one. But the other thing that you can do, and I'm going to test both for this video, is just get yourself a little bit of butter, smear it all on there, and then cover it with just a little bit of cornmeal. I use 2 hands for this. And all the butter and cornmeal is doing is just making this thing a little bit more non-stick, so your wet dough doesn't stick on and can be released. All right, so I sprinkle a little bit on, tap it a few times, move it around. That ought to be fine. Okay, that's kneaded for about 7 or 8 minutes actually, and this is what it looks like at the end. The dough all comes away from the bowl, and it's dry to the touch, but it's still nice and elastic. And that's going to give the right texture for pretzels and bagels. I'm just going to put it in there, loosely cover it so it doesn't dry out, and we'll let that sit and rise, form some micro bubbles for 30 minutes. All right, I'm gonna rest that for 30 minutes. It's coming up on 25 right now, so we're gonna turn on and start getting our water to a boil. With our baking soda in it, we're gonna take our oven, make sure our shelves are set correctly, and preheat that to 450. Okay, now we're just gonna make a little egg wash to go on the top of this. And we're just gonna use the yolk for that. A little bit of water, a couple tablespoons. Okay, just whisk that up. That just also provides a little bit of nice shine and color on the top. We'll apply that to the top, and after we're done boiling them, before we bake, to help the salt stick. All right, after 30 minutes, that is what the dough looks like. And you can see it's starting to get a little bit puffy. It's got some nice air in there. We're gonna cut that up into 8 equal pieces. I'll measure it. All right, we measured them up, and you want these things to be 24 inches long, all right? And that's gonna make the right amount, and that's a nice thing about a granite countertop. You can roll right on it if you've cleaned it good. Here we go. All I'm gonna do is take the piece in my hand, squeeze it, stretch it out, just squeezing it, getting it all out, and then I'm just gonna roll it and stretch it to the right length, okay? Which can be kind of hard. Actually, it's easier without the flour. They don't have to be perfect. Just around that long works good. Here's what we do. We take this thing and we make this shape, okay? And the legs need to be about 3 inches long, okay? Just put a little punch right there. All right, you can get it a little wet if you want. Then you're gonna take this, watch what I do. Just roll it down over top. See that? And then just push it. Form it how you want, and I'm gonna get a little bit of water and touch it so it sticks. Okay, just dab a little bit of water on it. That way when it comes down, I can kind of pinch it and it'll stick. You don't want it to come apart. Just pinch a little bit so it doesn't come apart when you boil it. All right, now we're ready to boil. So we'll start making them and put them up. We'll get 8 of these and boil them. All right, it actually works out better not having any flour on the thing, and then you can just kind of roll and stretch. All right, here we go. Now all we do is take these things and we plop them in. I think we can probably fit 3 in there. 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. We're gonna count to 20 seconds. I'll put you on pause while I do that. All right, that's what one side looks like after 20 seconds. And we'll flip it. See how they're puffing up? 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000, 5 1,000, 6 1,000, 7 1,000, 8 1,000. Okay, 20 seconds on each side. We're going to take it out and just drain a little bit of water. And I'm just going to put it right here on this sheet. I'll put 4 of them on here. Okay, now we're just going to take our egg wash. We're going to paint it on the top quick. And all this is doing is going to add color. We got 4 done now. It's probably best to do it in units of 4. You can make them larger, smaller. It depends what you like. This is about what a 24-inch rope. And this thickness. These will puff up more in the oven. Okay, we got the egg wash on there. Now we're just going to take our salt. And this is just kosher salt. And sprinkle it on. I like a pretty good amount of salt. You can always brush it off. Haley, you want anything else on yours, like poppy seeds or anything?
That's fine.
All right, just salt. All right, there's one. We're going to put that in the oven. Do the next batch here. And again, I'm only cooking them for 20 minutes on the side. A lot of recipes will say, oh, cook them for a minute on the side. They puff up and get so floppy. And then when you try to move them, they deflate. So they get too spongy. I don't think that's good. These ones ended up going for 15 minutes to get that brown color. I just wanted a little bit more. And you can see how they look. Nice. I got one more batch in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. That was fun. Thanks for helping me.
Yeah, that was fun.
Soft pretzels. All right, here's the difference in the plate. That was the parchment paper. And this is the cornmeal. And you can see it doesn't really make much difference. They both look about the same. They both came off pretty dang easily. Just whichever one you have. The cornmeal is just a little bit messier, but it's a good method also. Soft pretzels. Hey, if you got anything out of the video, give me a like. I'd sure appreciate it. And if you like this kind of content, consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks for watching.